Hey students, we are back with another thrilling video for you. Doesn't it seem like it was just yesterday that we started off with our first lesson? Well, I have another exciting surprise planned for you. It is something that everyone in this fraternity learns about as soon as they begin. Drum rolls for one of the most landmark discoveries that put our findings on the map, the Hubble Space Telescope. Let's dive right into it. The Hubble is the first major optical telescope to be placed in space, and my friends from all over the world have used it to observe the most distance of stars and galaxies. It has helped them make 1.3 million observations since it was set up in 1990 by the Space Shuttle Discovery. Do you know what actually makes it so useful? The Hubble has an unobstructed view of the universe. Imagine how spectacular must its observation be. This is because it is outside the distorting atmosphere of the Earth, which allows the Hubble to capture extremely high-resolution pictures against substantially dark background. You know, this coupled with its large-scale popularity has made Hubble not only a vital research tool, but also a boon to public relations. By the way, here is something which I find particularly interesting about it. The Hubble is the only telescope created thus far with the ability to be maintained in space by astronaut itself. I mean, can you picture some astronauts in their suits repairing their defects in a 13.3 meter long telescope? That's almost as long as the school bus I used to take during my childhood. The good old days. Anyways, as I was telling you, the Hubble telescope is completely maintained by the astronauts sent on space missions. In fact, 5 of such servicing shuttle missions have already been sent to space, which reminds me of the very famous anecdote involving the Hubble, and one of these missions that I plan to tell you about. Huddle up kids, it's story time. So once upon a time, there was a brilliant man named Galileo who made the very first telescope known to the mankind, and our knowledge of the universe hasn't been the same ever since. But let's fast forward a few centuries and come to the year 1946. It was a rather opportune moment when one of the most remarkable astrophysicists of our time, Lyman Spitzer himself, wrote about the scientific benefits of a telescope in space, one that would be our Earth's turbulent atmosphere. And voila, the idea behind the Hubble telescope was born. After decades of tenacious efforts by numerous scientists, we were ready to launch a telescope into space. In 1990, the much-awaited event took place and the Hubble was finally launched. But alas, an unfortunate incident occurred. You see students, the Hubble has 2 solar arrays and one of them worked just fine, but the second one, well, it got jammed. After much brainstorming, it was concluded that there was an error in the tension monitoring module. The image quality was drastically lower than expected, and it was a catastrophe. There was no chance that Hubble could come back to the Earth for a refit, but then the scientists stumbled upon a solution. You see, the mirror used had been grounded so precisely in the wrong shape that to correct the spherical aberration, we could design new optical components with the very same error, but in the opposite sense, kind of like spectacles. Thus, the project was rescued and we had a happily ever after. The story always gets me a bit too wound up at times, but the Hubble has so many interesting incidents linked to it. Here's another one in case you may not know about it. We actually had a very close call with the project when the US Congress deleted all the funds for this project in 1974. Soon after the move, a nationwide lobbying effort was coordinated, and ultimately in 1978, the funding was reapproved. Such a majestic past, isn't it? Well, we are coming close to the end of our time together today, but I must tell you the reason behind the name Hubble. It is a widely known fact that one of the most iconic figures in our community is Edwin Hubble. Before Hubble, most astronomers believed that the observable universe consisted of one galaxy, our Milky Way, which was an oasis of stars, dust, and gas in the vastness of space. However, in 1924, the American astronomer Edwin Hubble used the 100-inch Hooker telescope on Mount Wilson near Los Angeles, California, to study many other galaxies besides our own Milky Way, finding almost all of them moving away from each other. This put an end on the theory of static universe and suggested that a universe was indeed expanding. Hence began the seminal revolutionizing inquiries about the nature of our universe, deepening the knowledge of our existence. It was actually no surprise when NASA named the telescope after Hubble, because in my eyes, there was no better man. The rest is known by you all. The Hubble Space Telescope has since been greatly successful, and it is estimated that it would remain operational until as long as 2030. On 24th April 2020, the 30th anniversary of the Hubble, NASA celebrated by unveiling a stunning new portrait of a firestorm of childbirth, a nebula in a neighboring galaxy. It's wonders like these which made me fall in love with the lady science in the first place. This is where we part our ways, my students, and I hope today's lesson was as interesting for you to learn as it was for me to teach. You can always revisit the video if you need to, and also revisit some of my other videos. Until we meet again, adios. The professor signs off.